We're live, guys.
I know. We're seeing who breaks first. Let's see who's going to break first. The geek? Did he get me? He always gets me.
That's my signature thing.
The mortgage geek, obviously, is in the house. So welcome back, Sean Cahan.
Thank you.
Great to have you, as
Thanks
always.
for having me, both of you.
Going to talk about investing in real estate, something that I know you're very passionate about. Christian Minnow is here as well. What's up, Christian?
How you doing?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good to see you. You got the right colors on for the studio, as you can tell. When you match the carpet, you know you're doing things right. When the no, I'm not going to go there. So because
that's what I thought you were
the
going.
drapes are yellow. So
Yeah.
I guess you would say blonde.
Actually, yellow's not bad.
Yeah, true. So basically, as we're quickly veering off track, which isn't necessarily bad, we're going to talk about investing in real estate as the sound of freedom passes over us. They are flying some crazy helicopters. You feel that?
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
They're shaking the building.
Yeah.
Those helicopters
That was
are
an earthquake.
crazy.
Whoa.
So, investing in real estate is something that, Christian, you're very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting up groups to help millennials learn how to do this and think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, you're a seasoned investor, invested in real estate here, other states.
I did, yeah.
So you have experience, in the trenches, and so I'd love to get your take. First of all, right now, does it still make sense to invest in
Yes.
real estate right now,
Yes.
even with prices at all-time
Yes.
highs like this?
I'm back and trying to buy.
You're back.
Yeah.
You're buying right now.
Trying.
What does that mean?
I'm a coho salmon. I'm a bottom feeder. Wait,
all good
yeah,
investors
coho.
are.
Yeah. No, even though that the prices are like down, the amount of money in like certain markets right now for rent is bananas. Like
Okay, so that's what's got
the
you.
rent has really come back up, and I don't know how the rent would actually go down. I've never really, even in like 2008, 2009, 2010, did rent really ever come down that far? It really didn't. Just home prices just plummeted, right? But the
home
rent
prices plummeted because the rent was so low. Because people were like, why the hell am I going to stay in this house, pay a negative mortgage for $2,800 when I can rent the same house for $2,000?
Yeah, correct.
So that's why people vacated their homes back in the day.
They're like, there's no
I'll just
point to
rent.
pay. There's no point to pay. There's no point to pay. So like right now with where the rents are right now is like, not every home, okay? There's not as much as there was in 2009, 10, 11 when I was buying most of my rentals at the time, but there are some incredible opportunities right now. I'm back.
So
I'm
it's
back.
the rent that's brought you back into it.
Correct.
You're not looking at home price, you're looking at cap rate.
And it's all like value add properties. Like I'm going in there trying to buy like a 3-bedroom and turn it into a 5-bedroom for renting. And so that's kind of more what I'm actually looking at doing. And the great thing is that there's more and more banks actually offering spec construction, financing, construction financing, home equity lines of credit up to like 90% on primaries. You can use that capital to use for construction. Hard money's kind of back in the mix on doing seconds again in the hard, for remodels. So
Jumbo too.
man, yeah, jumbo. I have a 90% now, no MI with our new investor. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, 90% jumbo, no MI. That's
crazy.
wild.
Stoked.
That's wild.
That's like Wells Fargo stuff, but on a private basis. Boom, cornerstone.
Except for you don't have to go through the WF process. Wells Fargo. No, I won't go there. So Christian, what are your thoughts? I mean, prices are high.
Yeah.
You're passionate about investing in real estate, but I mean, how do you when someone says, "Hey, listen, prices at all-time high," how can I consider investing now with prices up here?
Well, I think you should still invest because just by putting your money into real estate, you still make money 4 different ways. People don't realize that all the time. For example, your tenants are paying your mortgage, right? And so your loan balance is going down. It's a tax write-off. You can write up your interest up to $750,000. You can write off any additional upgrades or maintenance costs for the property, right? You make money in depreciation over a long period of time. Home prices have always gone up, like over a long period of time, right? Like think about it. Would you have bought a home in 1950? What is that home worth now? It's crazy, right? So you're still going to be making money. And my personal favorite, every month, whatever your net is, you're making the net monthly income from the rent, you know? So that's 4 different ways your money's making money for you while you sleep and doing whatever you're doing throughout the day. So I think it's a great, obviously great way to put your money into. Why not put in real estate?
Yeah.
It's kind of a good way, real quick, like, you know, I'm in escrow right now. I'm buying another restaurant, and sometimes restaurants are cool and on the side, but it's not really like, hey, turn off the brain and put the key away on a restaurant. You know, even though I want to as much as I possibly can, I still have to ask, you know, how's the revenue looking? On like an investment property, you put the money in there, it's like, turn off the light. It doesn't matter. You know, you might get a call once in a while, but put a property manager in there and it's really turn off the light switch.
You're buying another restaurant?
Yeah.
Do I get the chance to talk you out of it?
I missed my second one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's like, I know
What kind of food is it? Wait, what kind of food is it?
We'll talk about that another time. Yeah.
All right, let's get some questions here. If you have questions for the Mortgage Geek or for Christian or myself, if you want to jump in there. James, who comments, I think a big question is, do you mean invest as in a non-primary residence? Okay, most people just consider their primary as an investment. That's a good point, James. I think either way, you know, if you're talking about investing in real estate, technically you're always talking about non-primary residence. You're right, though. Most people think you're talking about primary residence. When you buy a primary residence, you're not really investing in real estate. You're hedging your housing cost, right? So when you buy a home to live in, because you have to live somewhere, you're either going to rent or you're going to pay a mortgage. When you decide to own a home, you've locked in your cost. You said, all right, this is my cost. The only way for that to change is if my taxes or insurance change, and that could be a small fluctuation, but my principal and interest is fixed in, and now I know that's my cost for the next 30 years. And at the end of that 30 years, my annuity comes due, and I have no payment to make. So you should never invest in a primary residence unless it's like, hey, we're buying a condo, it's our first home, we're going to rent it out later when we move up in a couple of years when we have kids or something like that. Then you're talking about actually investing. But that's an awesome observation and question, James. Thank you so much for commenting in. Chris Bragg says, do you know what the affordability rates are today? Yeah, not good. Yeah, affordability is tough. That's why I was trying to figure out from the geek, like, hey, where is your interest? Because I mean, a couple years ago, you were like, I'm out. You know, I don't want anything to do with this.
I did.
You know, prices are just too high. It's too crazy. But since then, what's brought you back is the rental rates being so high. So you're looking at it like, I don't even care what happens to the price. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in my cash-on-cash return.
Correct.
For the rent.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. If you look at a video like a year and a half ago, like 17 pounds heavier and looking pretty thin these days. But I was out. And I told you, you know what, to be totally honest, like I can look back and say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have kept on to it, you know, held on to them. My money would have been more. But I used that money to go do other things, right? And did I leave the market? I personally felt that I needed to leave the market, so I made the decision to leave the market. I'm just back in the market because I saw over the past like 18 months the rents just ticking back up, like tick, tick, you know, they're just continuing. Over in the San Diego State University area with all the new building over there, the amount of rent that's coming out, San Diego passing the law where you don't have to, you know, for the accessory unit being, you know, so like I can go and buy like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath over in the San Diego, you know, area, and on that one basis, okay, of 3-bedroom, 2-bath, I'm only going to get like $2,300 a month in rent. I'm going to spend $550,000. Not good, right? Not good. Now, I'm going to add 700 square feet to that. I'm going to turn it into a 3-bedroom, or sorry, a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, or a 4-bedroom, 5-bath, because unless my lot is 6,000 square feet, I have to be 4-bedroom. And then now the state is allowing me to plop on a 2-bedroom, 1-bath accessory unit. My rent's $7,000 a month, and I have about $700,000 invested in that with a loan of $550,000. I'm cash flowing $25,000 to $3,000 a month.
You're crushing, absolutely crushing that. Yeah, that's all day.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's where the opportunity came.
The value add investment side is huge. That's what I'm saying. 5% down, 10% down, 20% down. We allow now cash out refinances up to 6 finance properties, and then my hedge fund will allow all the way up to 20 finance properties on cash out refinance. It's like, it's kind of endless, folks.
Faith says it's sad. Faith, it's not sad. Turn your frown upside down. Tell us what's making you sad. Not everyone wants to have roommates. Well, if you don't want to have roommates, there's only one solution. You got to buy a house. Buy a house and then don't let anyone in. So,
Call me.
Yeah,
Call me.
you call Christian. He'll definitely hook you up. He works very, very hard. And yeah, not everyone wants to have roommates, but at the same time, if you're an investor, a lot of people do want to have roommates because it gives them a cheaper opportunity to live.
Absolutely.
On a cost basis, whether they're in school, whether they just got out of school and they're paying back student loans. A lot of people still want roommates because it lowers the cost down. So when you're talking about like these value-add properties, especially in some of the hipper areas that are either near a college area or that are in metro in any fashion.
Yeah. And I was just using SCSU. It's like one of like the hardest markets to find a place. I wouldn't advise to like actually start there, to be honest. But there's other areas. But that just have that mind frame, right?
Yeah.
Have that mind frame of, and it's not a single transaction today to get these perfect rentals. It's a little bit more complex, but we can do it. We're here. We're the best at it. We're pros. Let us teach you. Let us walk you through the actual process. Have a little bit open mind. If you're thinking, hey, I'm just going to go buy a condo for $200,000 and it's going to rent for $2,000 a month, yeah, that's out. It's out. But if you strategically place it, your property is going to be upgraded. It's going to be in better condition. It's going to last longer. Depreciation is there. You get to write off your repairs. Everything that adds up, yeah, it might take you like 6 months to stabilize the property, but it's gonna be like 6 months and like turn off the light switch and like 10 years later look back and go, whoa, I got $1 million.
That is one thing that's nice too, back to sort of James' point about the big question, do you mean invest in a non-primary residence? Most people think of the primary as an investment. The reason why the primary is not an investment is because you only get the tax break on the interest to a certain extent, whereas
Correct.
when you do an investment property, every expense associated with it is a legit expense that you can write off. So if you have your property in an LLC, which you should, if you have an investment property, it should be in an LLC, then you'll be able to write off all the expenses, maintenance, interest, everything, putting the ad in Craigslist to rent it. That all gets to go. So he said, James says, interest geek. No, mortgage geek. What is the annual interest on $250,000, 4%, to quantify what people who are purchasing after new tax laws are not getting in write-off that they would have had in old system? Yeah, I mean, that's something, the old system I think really only applies, or sort of like the difference would be if you have a lot, if you have a big property, a big primary residence, there's a change there, and the standard deduction increased. So if you're not itemizing to a certain degree, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that is correct. And then also on it went from $1 million down to $750,000. Now, because we're in state California, our actual state taxes actually got changed a little bit, so we got to be careful of that. It was like a max of $10,000 total. So a lot of people aren't able to write off their actual property taxes on their state, which it hurts a little bit. But what state? I mean, we're talking about 12% because we live in the best state. So let's get over it, folks. You can't change it.
Yeah.
The federal government's not going to change it for California because they say, look at all the other states that don't have state and this does not affect them. So let's not argue that point today. So it went from $1 million.
Look at the size of that straw. Can we go back to Sean's
Yeah.
shot real quick? Look at that thing. That's large in charge. It almost crushed. That's a. What do you even call? What size is this? Gigante? I mean, what is that?
I think that's for a Trenta, one of those. Like,
Yeah, this is a
Trenta.
Trenta, folks. Coffee,
Trenta?
black. 2 of them a day.
The only way to
Major
totally
key.
mortgage geek
Major
out.
key.
He said, ask me because I'm wondering what number of clients have to assume they will eat by moving from one higher mortgage home to another. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a realistic question. Like if you're selling, you're buying up, or even if you're downsizing, what are the tax implications? And what I've seen so far is this, James, and I think everyone should take a look at this. The tax laws changed. They did change for home ownership, but for most people from an A to B basis, the tax savings that they get because of the new tax rates will actually be more than what they might lose in a mortgage interest deduction. So for most people, they're still going to be tax positive after these changes, even if they buy up or down, because they're going to get breaks on their actual tax rate. And so if you look at, it's always situation by situation, especially with taxes, but if you look, everything I've looked at and the people I've talked to, everybody's saving money. So the people who seem to be penalized on the mortgage side, usually those are higher income earners. They're going, unless they're just like W-2 and they make like 600 grand W-2, okay, they're gonna get stung. But anyone else, you own a corporation, you own your own business, you have an
win.
LLC, you win big,
big time.
big on a whole basis. So in other words, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, oh, well, I got hammered with taxes, so it's gonna throw me off, unless you have like, you know, and even doctors aren't W-2 these days. They're all independent contractors. So it's like, who's making 500-600 grand W-2? That's the person who gets stung, and that's just very, very few people. And that's someone who needs to rethink their whole setup for how they're making money.
So I also want to touch base on Christian's topic of investing right now in San Diego. One of the things that a lot of people can actually go do is go out and go get a real estate license. When you actually get a real estate license, now you are considered a real estate professional, even if you've never sold a home before. Now on your Schedule E, depending on how much money that you actually make, I think it's like $150,000 of income. You start to lose all of your tax shelter on your Schedule E, because now, unless you have a real estate license, now you are a professional. Now you are not capped by that rule.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to find out all of the actual terms, and I'm going to send them over to Smart San Diego, and we'll post them on your guys' website.
Okay.
But that is one of the ways that you can kind of jump over or get through some of those loopholes by being a real estate professional and not losing that $150,000 or removing that like $150,000 cap on how much you can actually have on tax shelter on rentals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's stuff right. That's Mortgage Geek right there, to a T.
At its finest.
That is the Mortgage Geek right there. Always finding the holes. Where is there that you can take advantage? That's why we keep having him back on Smarter San Diego, because we want to make you smarter than everyone else.
Everybody smiles.
Yeah, the smile's getting better. It's getting wider. I don't know if you can tell. So Faith says, so primary residence is not a good investment in San Diego. Faith, definitely primary residence is not an investment. I'm not saying it's not a good investment. I'm saying it's not an investment. Your primary residence is a hedge, and what that means is that you're fixing in your housing costs. If it's the case in the future when you need to sell your primary residence, that you make money or that you don't make money, that is just simply a cost of doing business, if you will, for the hedge that you put into place. So you're hedging the market where it is today when you buy the house. If the market moves later, you're fine. You're fixing in your costs. Ideally, you don't have to take a loss in the future, and most people won't. But look at your primary residence as a hedge. If you look at it like an investment, then a couple of things. You'll look at it for things that you don't necessarily like. You'll buy it because you think other people will like certain things. And then you'll be like, I don't even like my house. I need to sell it too fast. And if you look at it as an investment, you'll also want to sell it when the market goes up instead of just enjoying yourself. So buy your primary residence that you can stay in for a long time, that you like. That's your hedge against the market. And then invest in a property when you're capable of it, and then you can use all the tax benefits and everything we've been talking about. James says, Smarter San Diego makes me smarter every day. I appreciate that, James. Appreciate your comments. That's awesome. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. So specific areas, Christian, just curious, like, is there any area you've got your eye on, or other people, investors, clients have their eye on, like, hey, this is where we want to buy?
So what I've learned from my investors is, because I have a lot of mentors as well, as far as what do they look for when they invest in a property. What they look for is good schools, because they look at it as long-term investment. So you want someone who's going to stay there long-term rather than a high turnover, right? And so what we found is that wherever there's good schools tends to be the best rentals, because you want to stay there for the length of the middle school or the high school, because a lot of people want to keep their kids in the same school throughout that entire process, whether if it's elementary, middle, or high school. So they tend to pay, they're also families, so they have more money, as well as they want to stay there for a long term. And they tend to take care of the property better since they think it's their home as well. which it is. So a lot of my investors, for example, like wherever there's good schools. Like me personally, I want to invest in East County because that's where I'm from, as well as, hey, I love La Mesa. So go La Mesa. You got Grossmont High School. You have Parkway Middle School over there.
Awesome schools.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome schools.
Yeah.
Alumni.
My
I'm a little biased, but hey, they're
That's
the
all
best.
right.
They're the best.
I am too. My daughter was born in Grossmont.
Oh, no way.
Yep. That's where she was born. I lived in La Mesa for like 1 year. It was happened to be when she was born. So
There you go.
she was born in Grossmont.
There you go.
Definitely a great area too. And La Mesa's become more central. It used to be thought of as more east.
Mm-hmm.
People used to say La Mesa's East County. They used to
Yeah.
say that. Not anymore. It's clearly more central to San Diego and what's going on. Your access to everything is it's
It's
just
right
right
there.
there. Yeah, you can backdoor your way into downtown super quick. Part of the reason why Santee is doing so well.
Exactly.
You looked at Santee at all?
I actually owned some homes in Santee at one time. I like that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big
Blown
time.
up.
Yeah, it's
bro.
So I just did a refinance for a client, and I was like, "Hold on, what street are you on? And how much did your appraised value come in?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I should have kept those houses." I'm talking like I think I sold them for like 300, and this thing almost came in at 500, and I was like,
Ooh.
"Okay, I did make a mistake. All right, I sold too early on those." But yeah, Santee is. And
Santee's
the
hot.
school district, I heard, has been on the up and coming
and
as
that's
well.
the thing also
So-
from an investment perspective, and I know investing in good school areas is more of a safer investment. I think one of the things you can do if you want to be more aggressive is to find some of the places that don't have great schools right now.
On the
But will be.
on the
But
yeah.
look at the plans. One of the cool
Well, look
things.
at La Mesa.
La Mesa is one of them. Santee is one of them.
Santee's a good one.
There's other ones too that we've seen schools grow into, and like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, these schools are amazing, and that makes values go way up.
Correct.
So if you know that and you can kind of see what's going on, one of the cool things about real estate investment is, especially long term, is that you've got the ability to see everything, like the city plans. For construction, for growth, everything's all laid out for like the next 10, 15 years. You just got to go down and ask somebody, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Where are you building stuff? Where's the new highway? Where are you expanding? And they'll tell you. Also, if there's plans to build a new school or whatever,
Yeah.
that stuff is all predetermined way ahead of time. So you go to those areas, buy there, and know that, okay, I'm buying something at a lower price point here. It may be more difficult initially, but as this town grows, my investment's going to grow, and I know this town's going to grow because people are going to come to San Diego. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
People are coming here.
Don't be a sheep.
They are coming here. So it's somewhat contrarian to think like, okay, well, I want to buy in a place that's has bad schools, but remember, it's an investment property. It's different primary residence. In fact, this is why we talk about the difference between that, because if you're in primary residence, you wouldn't buy in an area of bad schools because your kids got to go to the schools.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
But for an investment property, you could buy in that area, rent it to whomever wants to live there, and you're looking at it going, man, I'm getting a lower premium on rent right now, but watch my appreciation. Watch what happens to this investment over time as this area grows. And some of those places, right now might be like Sounds of Freedom, passing over. Go guys, do what you got to do.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care of
you.
them.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your service. Encanto might be one of them. It's actually already grown
Oh my
so
gosh,
much.
I love-
Encanta's
I love
like
it.
It's
Lemon
grown so
Grove.
much.
grown so
Lemon
much.
Grove,
I love
Spring
Lemon Grove.
Valley. These are places where you look and you go, oh boy, schools are like a 5, 6. But I can get a single family residence for 400 G's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sign me up, okay? Because I can rent that thing, a 3-2 out for 22, 2,300, and it may not make huge money today, but watch your rents go up every year, your payment stays the same.
Well, also investors need to kind of get away from another thing that we end up doing is, hey, we're making $200 a month positive on this place. I'm like, yeah, why don't you take that $200 and apply it towards your mortgage? Like, if you're buying an investment property, you guys, take all of your earnings of that property and put it back into the mortgage. Don't pocket it. I'm sorry, if you have enough money to put down on a property, $100 or $200 or $300 a month is not going to make any difference in your life. $100 or $200 or $300 every single month to your mortgage will change your mortgage life
That's true.
every time.
Big time.
So set it up where like $200 or $300, $200, $150 a month, right? On a payment of $2,100 at $150 every single month, you're at $1,800 a year, right? Well, if you're at $2,100, now you just shorten your mortgage down to roughly like 23 years. That is huge. Is $150 going to change your life? You won't even notice a difference. Like I said, there's a difference. Changing my life or changing my mortgage life. I'm changing my mortgage life.
Because that's where
key.
the expenditure is.
Exactly.
That's what you're paying interest on.
In 10 years, you're going to have a huge difference on $150. I guarantee if you put the $150 into your checking account, you will never notice a difference. In 10 years, you're going to be like, I don't even know what I did with it. Cool, you know what I did with it? My mortgage is way less than yours.
And what's $150? Think about it. It's just like an extra coffee a week. Think about it. How much do we spend on coffee?
But you're 100% right. But here's the thing. The reason why people don't understand. The reason why people have a hard time understanding is because my payment's the same. So let's talk about this from a mortgage perspective. So my payment's the same. You know, I have to pay my $2,100 a month mortgage, taxes, interest, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. I have to pay that, and it's the same amount every month. So if I pay that extra $150, I still have to pay the same amount.
Correct.
But what's happened, the pie chart inside of that payment is changing.
Exactly. Your amortization schedule is recalculating every single month that you apply additional money towards your principal. We used to, back in the old day, in a mortgage calculator, and Chase, Wells, Washington Mutual, remember that?
Yes.
You guys, it was crazy. We would send in $150. That $150 never got applied towards the mortgage because the amortization schedule, the computer systems that were now like dinosaurs to us today, only allowed a full payment to reduce or to change an amortization schedule. But with the computer systems today, if you send in $150 towards your principal, it's going to slowly start recalibrating your amortization schedule and knocking it down. In the old day, they would take the $150 and put it kind of like off into a black hole. And then your other $150, they would put it off into a black hole, and you're like, what? Where's my like $300? And they're like, sorry, we need $2,100 before we apply it.
Yeah.
That's not how it's done, folks.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Start applying it.
And
it makes a big difference.
Another thing you can do too, because you do have maintenance sometimes and stuff like that, is take that money that you get, that's your surplus, put it into a separate account at the end of the year, pay for your maintenance and stuff out of that. And at the end of the year, take whatever's left and just make one principal reduction. Write a separate check to the bank.
Totally.
Write principal reduction in the memo, send it to them
Yep.
with your loan number. Principal reduction, loan number, brrr, there you go. Because then you have that clean, really clean one record of it each year. And you may lose a little bit of interest savings versus applying it, every month.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting that recast every single month. But it's a nice, clean way to do it. And if it's tight for you and you're worried about maintenance or things like that, then that's a way to kind of sort of quarantine your profits from the monthly rent into an account that you can then use.
Okay, so I like how you just said this really quickly. $150 every single month. If I was going to apply $1,800, it doesn't matter if I apply $1,800 towards my amortization schedule in the month of April, or I break it up and do $150 every single month all the way through, it's going to yield the exact same amount.
Will it really?
Yeah. So your amortization schedule will actually change the same amount because I'm just going to take the $1,800 and just apply it. So you can do the bi-weekly payments, or you can do a single payment, or you can do monthly. So it all actually serves like the same purpose.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we're still good there.
Yeah. So it's like splitting hairs at that point. So
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I did save my borrower, no joke, like $72,000. Banks still make mistakes with Bank of America. She was making additional payments. I got her payoff back, and it said, your next payment's not due until like 2024. And I was like,
Wait, what?
have you been?
They
What
were-
is this, a car loan? I was like, do you have a mobile home? And then she was like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, so Bank of America was taking all of her, because she did not write principal on the actual
Reduction?
check.
Yeah.
They were taking it and applied towards principal. I've actually never seen that before, but folks, just take a look at your principal, your balance every time that you make an additional. Mistakes still happen. And it's okay. We went back there, they corrected it, and then the payoff came in like $72,000 less. I was like, whoa. She loved me, right? But still, something to think about.
Yeah. No, 100%
Yeah.
true. When you are, a lot, especially big banks. I won't throw Bank of America under the bus in particular, but
I like
could
Wells
very
Fargo.
easily. Is that they will do some funny math on the back end. the traditional bankers have a very specific mindset, and you're a number, and if they can make $1 on 1,000,000 people, it's $1 million. That's just how they look at it. So they will do a lot of little funny math, things like that. So I'd always be very, very, careful when you're making your principal reductions to always make note of it on the check that you're sending or writing in, or do it separately. So like make your payments just like you always do. And then when you're going to do a principal reduction, do that separately as a separate occurrence. So it shows up as a separate line item, as a different thing, or even handwrite a check old school and send it in as a principal reduction. That is a much smarter way to handle it, because then you have the evidence on your side that should be taken. And then definitely look at your statement. Make sure that actually took place, because that's how you're going to save the most money. Ahmed says that real estate is going to collapse once construction companies get permitted to build multiple level residential complexes all over San Diego County. That would be a big time crystal ball there, Ahmed, I would have to say, because number one, you're getting permitted to build multiple level residential complexes all over San Diego County is going to be very difficult to do. Right now, they're already talking about building up Metro a little bit, and they've built it up to a certain degree. But here's the thing, dude. Even if they did, Ahmed, I would debate this with you. Even if they did, most builders don't want to build single-family residence high-rises for sale anymore anyway.
No.
I was talking to one of the biggest builders in all of San Diego yesterday. I have a total inside track with them, and also talking to Michael Harris, who runs the Building Industry of Association, and he was saying the same thing. They don't want to build them because there's litigation issues the first 10 years. They have to sweat out 10 years before they can be clear and clean from a project.
And they get sued.
And they get sued for sure no matter what. Yeah. So they don't want to do it. Plus there's a risk that you might not buy them, or you might think it's worth $500 and they need to sell it for $600 to make a profit. So they're not going to do it.
Or look at Florida. I mean, Florida is still Miami is still in a downturn right now in the condo market. I think they have 6,500 condos for sale. I was just over there looking at setting up a branch, and then I was like, never mind. But they have those big, huge, high-rise condos are just not selling, and they're just plummeting in value. So I wouldn't bank on the builders actually building residences for sale. They will build rentals. They'll build rentals, and then they'll sell those buildings, and you should buy one, but they're not going to sell them because there is too much risk. Because remember, those guys took a big hit in the last downturn. They're smarter than they'll do that again. So I don't think real estate will collapse because of that. If it does collapse, which is hard to imagine what would cause it now, it won't be because we're overbuilt. We are dramatically underbuilt, and for us to overcome the dramatic underbuilding that's going on, it would have to be something super radical where they were incentivized or guaranteed. There has to be some major government program that ain't happening. Yeah. Because they see those guys as the rich, fat cat real estate guys. They are not going to throw them a bone in a market that's been up for 7 straight years. It's just not going to happen. I thought he meant rentals. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, if they do build rentals, that'd be great. We need those units desperately. So, I mean, that's the good news. If they do, get permitted to build higher... These are not cheap rentals, guys.
No.
So it's not going to all of a sudden, dismantle the home purchase or primary or second home or investment. I mean, Vantage Point downtown. I mean, and that other new one right by Vantage Point. I mean, the premiums that they're getting for these rentals are huge.
And those are off in the middle of nowhere, East Village. Those are way off the beaten path.
And
they're 6 blocks from the library.
So let them keep building. Let them keep building. I'm totally fine with that for those rentals. I really personally do not think that it's going to hurt our real estate community.
100%
Not
agree.
at all.
100% agree. What do you think, Christian?
I don't think it's going to affect it at all. I mean, if anything, it's going to help it, right? Because then we have either more inventory to sell, it's just going to start more transactions. People are moving. I need to sell the home, help someone buy it. It doesn't matter what it. Go ahead, build. It's not going to affect the market at all.
Get more listings.
Yeah, get more listings. That's what I'm in the business
We need
for.
We need more stuff on the market anyway. So.
I need more to sell.
Yeah.
I need more to sell.
Absolutely.
To correct the shortfall that we've had would take such a Herculean effort. It would require federal government intervention at this point. So this is where I see macro trends As far as San Diego is concerned, when you compare it to, and I like to look at these two markets. These are my two sort of like fantasy markets to look at: San Francisco and New York. They're the two most well-branded international cities in America. Are San Francisco and New York. And when you look at those marketplaces, what you see is the same thing you see here as far as demand is concerned, inventory is concerned, available homes is concerned. The only difference is it's twice or 3 or 4 times as expensive there. That's the only difference. And I'll tell you this right now, obviously I live in San Diego, so I made the choice, but I would rather live here than San Francisco all day. You couldn't pay me to live in San Francisco.
All day.
I do
No debate.
not even
No debate.
know the benefits of San. I mean, other than like, hey, great culture, cool. Come to my office. I like my culture. Like, seriously, you guys.
I like to be nice and warm.
Hey, New York has the best vegan food I've ever eaten in my life. I'm super into it, and I still won't do. I'll go there once a year, just because I love the place. It's great, but it isn't worth all that. Are you kidding me? It's
No.
6 degrees there today. Like, pull that up. You know, so
Couldn't
I mean,
pay me enough.
Jamie, what's the temperature? What's the temperature in New York today? It's probably 7 degrees. So you tell me how that's worth 4 times what this is.
That's what I just clearly, and that's what I was saying, like the culture thing, like it is the restaurants and their culture and the music and everything that San Francisco has to offer is incredible. It really is cool for vacation. Or I just, it's really difficult to spend 4 times the amount, you know, like $2,000 a square foot, or that 4,000 square foot place over there is,
Did I tell you about my buddy? So this is
you
like
know,
one of
$6 million. It's like,
Wait till you hear this story. So my buddy, who one of the wealthiest guys I know, generational wealth, passed down, his whole family, and he loves San Francisco, wanted to live there. He went to buy a place that is a 2-bedroom townhome. So he's got neighbors on both sides. 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. Cool spot. Really close to like Golden Gate Park, like cool. Really, really cool. 1.9 million. Now hold on. That's not it. That's not it. It was listed for 1.9 million. Okay, he had to pay 2.2 cash. And close in 7 days to get it.
bananas.
That is off the chain.
Yeah.
This was an affordable home
crazy.
in San Francisco, and so I told him, I said, man, if you feel poor in San Francisco, I don't know how I would feel.
Yeah, I know. I'd be
was
riding
like-
a skateboard to work.
He was like, dude, he was like, I had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy Bliss. I'm like, yeah, but are you happy? You got it? He's like, yeah, I'm stoked. I was like, there you go. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Was it more for the home or the accomplishment of getting it, of winning
Yeah.
the
I
bidding
think he
war?
was happy that he could actually afford to get it, that he was like, okay, I want to live here. Okay, I can. Write the check. Give me the check. Fuck it. Like, it comes to a point where it's just like, well, all right. But he actually had an in with the listing agent. The listing agent was like, this is what it's going to take.
And that just kind of goes back to why San Diego is still such a great investment property. Why you guys should be contacting Christian and working with him when he's working with mostly investors. Why you should be, really he's dedicating his time and his efforts into actually finding like cap rate properties, making sure that they're actually good investments. He likes to work with like primary residences but his specialty will be investing, you know what I mean? The multiple purchase of homes, because it's like San Diego is a great, great area for that. We're talking about like San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and all these different places. And we are so far away from all of that. It's like, why not just be dumping so much money down here?
Well, one
It really
day
does help.
we will look back on it and say, obviously that was going to happen. Like,
Absolutely.
When we catch up with those other markets, we'll be like, obviously San Diego was going to catch up.
We have the best weather, the most beautiful beaches, the best trees, the best streets.
Well, I mean,
most
we have
beautiful
everything,
people.
I don't know about streets. I complain about the streets. It makes me feel like an old man when I complain about the streets, but that's California for you. So we need more. Yeah, good point, Faith. She says we need more affordable compared to salaries housing. 100% agree, and that's the reason why we're talking about this. Because if you may have to take a step that is before the step of I'm buying my dream home. That step might be buying a property that has multiple units that you can rent out one side, because you can qualify with income from rental on a multiple unit purchase, right?
Yeah, correct. And like on a multiple unit and also on a rental, Cornerstone, we allow the future rent, not rented, no lease agreement on a purchase, to use to offset. So like typically speaking, an investor going all the way up to 20 finance properties, if you have your debt to income ratio in line for currently what you're actually working with on your liabilities, then we're not going to have any issue by getting you multiple investment properties. Like we closed on a 3-unit at $1 million for a borrower who makes $1,900 a month W-2.
Wow.
What?
She had the 25% to put down. I used the future rent to offset the mortgage payment. Her current debt was almost zero.
So
She got it.
It can be done. So there you go, Faye.
Yeah.
So you may need to take a step. That's why I brought these guys in. I think it'd be great for you to talk with them about it. You may need to take a step and say, all right, I'm not going to be able to go from A to Z. I'm going to have to jump into like M or N and then get there. And it can all be done. And that's really the macro point here, is that it can all be done if you have the right guidance, if you're working with the right people. You can do the things that you want to do, and real estate's a great path to get you there. James says he agrees it's a Silicon Valley transplant. Tony Elias says, love this. What's up, Tony?
What's up, Tony?
What's up, T?
Mindy says, Sean is the best. Totally agree. Mortgage geek in the house.
Thanks, Mindy.
Let's see what Ahmed has to say here. The extreme capitalist oligopoly market we have here in San Diego will always lead to recession despite all the positive markers, because at some point the quality of life is decreasing in the other cities. States will be offering higher profit to homeowners who buy a home, cheaper price. That's again, Ahmed, I got to tell you, a lot of assumptions there. There's no such thing as extreme capitalist, right? It's either capitalist or it isn't. Either it's a free market or it isn't. So it is definitely a capitalist opportunity. What we're trying to tell, or at least offer, is the opportunity to take advantage of that. You know what the rules of the game are. It's all set out right there in front of you. It's totally transparent. You can see what homes are selling for. Like I said, the cities, you can see where they're building roads. Like, none of this is secret. Like, it's just like plain, simple, common sense stuff. But if you don't know what to look for, or where to look, or who to work with, then you may not know where to begin. So if you think that the market will get crushed here, I will bet with you. I will make a bet with you. So you let me know a comfortable number for you. I have a friend that owns an escrow company, and let's bet on it. Cool. I think we should. I think we should wrap it. Right?
Yeah, that was good.
I think we'll wrap.
That
it.
was good.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on today, Sean, the Mortgage Geek. Cahan.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to have you here. Christian Minnow, great to have you, man.
Thank you.
Awesome segment,
Thank
guys.
you.
You just got smarter than everyone else.